Okay, YouTube tells me that we are live. This is Toni Weel, and I have with me, as usually on our podcast, Sarah from Virtuous Unicorns.
Hello.
And I have a surprise guest, Alexandra Kenny.
Hello.
And my reason for having Alexandra is she was one of my first clients, actually. And she has an amazing story. And I have been following her and actually learning from her. So I think that is, I love it. I really, really like that. To introduce myself, maybe I should sometimes. I have been on a healing journey, well, for a long, long time. And I've been through all the motions of whatever is possible and figured out that nothing really worked, whatever I tried. And I had thyroid issues and psoriasis and arthritis and whatever names that are given to us, one of these many diseases, only to figure out there is actually only one disease. And I gallbladder removal, been through that too. Been paralyzed from the neck down when I was in my early 20s, and nobody knew what happened, but healed from all of that, because the body is actually a pretty amazing, an amazing machine, if that sounds okay to call it actually a machine. Mm-hmm. But so we have all done a lot, and I have done all the diets that you can think, to a point that my daughter told me I had an eating disorder, and I was like, heck no, I'm just trying to heal my body, and I have to figure out what is the key, what it can do. And it was not as much as putting in something in your body that would heal it. It was more on leaving out all the junk. And that is pretty much what the key was for me. And I experience it every day. If I leave out the food I'm not supposed to eat, and that can be as simple as a hot green soup, which is, kind of delicious once in a while, but then you're bloated and you feel tired and gain weight and don't feel well and get back in pain. And you think, well, it's just a good, nutritious soup. But it's not working for us. We are not meant to eat that. And once we leave out all that food, I see amazing things happening for me. And for me, it's a long journey. I mean, I have been sick for a long, long time, always denying that I was sick at all. I was just feeling fine. I was pretty energetic. I did everything that I wanted to do. But you get to a point that the body says, this is it. We're not going to do this anymore. You listen now and you change now. And if not, well, I got to a point that I was bedridden and I thought I wouldn't make it till the end of the year. And that was pretty sad. This is actually when I met Dr. Morse and I started studying with him. And I got some amazing, amazing results. And with Alexandra, she took it actually a step further, but I let her do her story. But I would like to first have Sarah, introduce yourself. Because you have been on a healing journey too, and you say very little about it. And I know that you are doing amazingly. So tell us a little about that.
Well, thank you. So I've come from like a background of definitely stagnated lymph and, kidneys not filtering, that kind of stuff, even having asthma really bad. I had asthma so bad that I still to this day will carry my inhaler, even though I don't use it, but it just psychologically, it does something to make me feel at ease. I guess knowing that it's always there, because if you've never had an asthma attack, you really have no idea what that really feels like all of a sudden to not be able to breathe. But yeah, so I mean, like I don't have that anymore. My allergies will still get, bad here and there. But it seems like it's for the most part gone away completely. I'm definitely outside all the time. I'm around a lot of different animals, so dirt, dander, things like that. And Sometimes I'll feel like something might be triggering, but so far, so good. It's been well over 10 years. And I mean, it's just amazing when you were even talking about not putting the things in your body and allowing your body to heal the way it's supposed to. It kind of reminded me of what Charlie always says about cast your net to the right, take the load off Fanny, trust in God, give it to them. It's like the same thing we have to do with our bodies. We just have to trust our body and give it in, the fruit that it needs, like the nourishment. But at the same time, your body doesn't necessarily, you know what I mean? I've said it a million times, but the fruit just allows your body to get the nourishment while it does heal. But technically your body is what's doing it. It's not really the fruit. But yeah, so it's just, it's an amazing journey. And I think a lot of us took the same stepping stones to get here. And it's, I feel like we're kind of at the top of the pyramid at this point, and I think it's wonderful.
Thanks, Sarah. Now, Alexandra, we would love to hear what all happened to you in the few years that I have known you, and I have actually been following you. Because if I see your happy face on the photos and in all the groups that you are in, and even the groups on Facebook that you set up, and all your delicious meals that you create. And yeah, we talk about meals, but anything that you can make a meal out of, that is, no, I have to say it differently. It's like with a melon, you can make a meal out of it. Can you make a meal out of cilantro? No, you can't. So you're not, it's not part of, that's not a meal. But what I consider a meal is all the delicious things that you put on all these beautiful pictures in your groups. So it's like very, very simple, very easy. But how did you get there? Because, you had a tough time.
Yeah, so well, I've been in a state of disease since I was, a preteen. And when I found you, I was weaning myself off of prednisone that I was put on after I had my first child, and I'd been on it for 4 years, and I got myself off of it, and I was, tapering right off at the end when I met you. And I really just was following my gut and my intuition, and knowing that there had to be a better way, because ever since I started to become not well and have different conditions and get the different diagnosis as a child, it kind of I kept getting worse and worse, and like the more medicines they put me on, I got worse and worse. And of course, I also had an unhealthy lifestyle. And even when I didn't have what was considered an unhealthy lifestyle, knowing what I know now, even though I was an athlete, I was a competitive athlete, my diet was not correct, and I was very dehydrated, and I didn't get good sleep. And then I was drinking coffee at a young age on top of that. So doing a lot of things that seem normal, but, normal people have normal diseases. I feel like, it's people, just because something's common doesn't mean it's normal, and it's very common to have health issues, but when we go to the doctor, it's never our fault. And doctors are taught to treat symptoms with medicine. That's how they're taught to do what they do. So when I met you, I had weaned myself off of prednisone. I was on DMARD injections, which stands for disease modifying anti-rheumatic drug. And it's an injection that, for the one I was on, it stops your response to fungus in the body. So, and it just stops the symptoms. So my diagnosis, among many others, was psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis. And so this particular drug made me not have psoriasis. It's not that I was well, it's that the symptom of psoriasis that my body was creating to help itself was being suppressed by the medicine. So yeah, when I found you, I had just found out my husband's family, they had sold their company to a larger corporation. And when they did that, the insurance was self-pay. And this drug cost $8,000 a month for my injections. And it was for 2 injections a month. And but these drugs are very expensive, you know, and they have copay programs. So like for me, it was always almost free, actually, because these are such new drugs that they have, the drug company is paying for the drug to the insurance. So we would actually pay my deductible every year to be on this drug, the family deductible. But anyway, it was a self-pay insurance plan, and they weren't going to pay for it. And at the time, I was breastfeeding my second child, and they had always told me that this was the one that was safe to breastfeed on, you know, that the others weren't safe to breastfeed on. And then when I told them that I had to change insurance and that, you know, I couldn't get it, I just couldn't get this drug. And I spent like 26 hours on the phone trying to get this drug, literally just in loops back and forth with the doctor, to the insurance, to the office of the doctor. It was so ridiculous. And in the end, they could have put me through a program that made it completely free through the doctor's office, you know, through Johns Hopkins University. But that wasn't an option until like the very end for me, when I had already decided I was going to change my way of life and my diet. But basically, I got kicked off of my DMARD, and they told me that I could take a different one now because it would probably be okay to breastfeed on, which to me, that was not sure. And I hated the fact of injecting myself with poison and breastfeeding my kids anyway. I hated that when I was pregnant with my kids, I was injecting myself into my pregnant belly with a poison. It burns like poison. It makes you feel like poison, you know. So it really just, when I became a mother, intuitively, I changed. And yeah, it really just sparked something inside of me. So when I found you, I had kind of made my mind up. I'm going to change my life. I can't raise my kids to eat chicken nuggets and French fries and inject themselves with poison every month. And on top of that, because I had just come off of the prednisone, the doctors were ready to put me back on chemo, which I had been on chemo already 15 years of my life. Since I was 15 years old, I had been on chemo. And they, you know, I was on pills, the maximum dosage of, you know, chemo pills for every week. And then after the pills, I graduated to the injections because the pills made me so nauseous and so sick. And I was on the maximum dose. So then they switched me to the injections, which made you less nauseous, but equally feel, you know, awful. And so, yeah, so they were ready to put me back on chemo too. And I didn't want to go back that way. So I thought, if there is a way, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it really well, because I have to do it well, because literally I was in a state of, I'm either going to, like, I was becoming, when I came off my medicines, I was becoming crippled quickly. So I couldn't walk well. I couldn't use my hands well. I was, you know, chronically fatigued. When I came off of the prednisone also, my adrenals were completely stressed. And I had been to a nutritive practitioner, or a nutrition response counselor, she was called, that previous to finding you. And I had been a vegan for a year prior, which did help me with my psoriasis, but it didn't help me enough, you know, at all. And I was still on the injections. I was able to space out my injections a good amount, you know, instead of doing every 2 weeks, I was doing like 8 or 9 weeks, which was really good, you know, but I was still on prednisone, and I still wasn't well, you know, to where, like, when I came off of the prednisone and the injections, I got very bad very fast. So clearly my body hadn't been able to, you know, feel its best and heal on that diet of being vegan, cooked food vegan. I was eating fruits, I was eating salads, but still. So then I went to this nutritive response counselor because I read online that she could help me. And this is like the 10th type of different modality I've been to in my life. I've been to spiritual healers. I've been to acupuncturists, Chinese herbologists. I've been to chiropractors. I have done all the different things that you could think of. I did it, and I did it with my whole heart, and I did it completely trying to get better. And it was like when I was probably 18 years old that I started to get really worse and like much worse. And I thought to myself, I wasn't born sick like this. Like definitely this has become like this. I didn't start out this way, so to me, it was like, I can get out of it because I didn't start out this way, and there had to be something. So I'd always ask my doctor at Hopkins, what do you know about this disease? What do you know? And he would say, all we know is that it's taking something from your bones. Well, it's calcium and it's buffer salts that it's taking from your bones because you're highly acidic, and all you're doing is putting acidic foods in, or acidic combinations of foods. So your body, in order to save itself, pulls its alkaline reserves, which is calcium and buffer salts, from the bones. But like, they couldn't explain that to me. This is stuff that I've now come to like have aha moments and make connections of. So anyway, I went to this nutritive response counselor. She told me that I had like candida, mold, and fungus. I had no adrenal at whatsoever, and that I needed to go on a meat and vegetable diet. No fruits, no sugar. I had candida, and that's what I needed to do. So I started to eat meat again a little bit. I'd eat like some salmon salads, and it really went against my intuition, and it made me constipated, which it felt like the wrong thing to do. And at the same time, she was feeding me herb pills. I was eating the herb pills and the whole food supplements, and it was making me feel awful. And then I would go back and she'd say, oh, it looks like you need some magnesium now. You need some magnesium, which like all these things would make sense now why you need the magnesium, because I'm eating more fat and I'm eating more dehydrating foods, and my body needs to like move my blood. So now I need magnesium, and I'm getting, none in my diet. So then I did it for a little bit, but I told her like, this just goes against what feels right to me. Like, I love eating fruit. I want to eat sweet things, like I don't want to eat meat. I don't like it. Like it wasn't that I didn't enjoy the taste of it. I didn't enjoy like the way it made me feel, and I was quite happy eating vegan foods anyway. Like I didn't miss the meat that much. You know what I mean? So anyway, I stuck with her for a little bit, but she had me on, I was on 4,000 milligrams of adrenal desiccated a day on top of the prednisone I was taking. I was a mother of 2 children that I take care of by myself day and night. I was completely running myself ragged, and it was driving me further into bad health to do what I was doing on her protocol. So I ended up, we found we had a mold spot in our basement, which it wasn't a large mold spot. This isn't what made me sick at all. But being that, I want to take great care of my house, great care of my kids. My kids and I, we moved down to a beach house for 10 weeks. We had our house mitigated, because it took a few weeks to get like booked and everything. We had the house mitigated, feel, completely fixed and everything like that. And then we moved back in. Then while we were away, this is where I found Toni, and I started like deciding this is what I'm going to do. And, my husband thought I'd lost my mind, and, his immediate reaction was like, no, just go, stop breastfeeding, go back on chemo, take the medicine. You need the medicine. Like, so, so I followed what I wanted to do, and I'm glad I did. So, yeah, so after I found Toni, then I started to, eat this way. And then I found out terrain model refutes germ theory and Lauren Whiteman. And I started talking to her, and I ended up joining her team as moderator. And I just started studying, and I started studying natural hygiene, and I haven't stopped studying natural hygiene. And now I'm in school to become a hygienic doctor. And I love it. And all my nighttime that I'm not like exercising or doing consultations with people or working in the groups, I'm reading a natural hygiene book or I'm listening to one in my kitchen while I do dishes during the day. And I absolutely love it because for the first time, everything makes sense. There's an explanation and there's an understanding to everything. And it's very simple, but it's a lot to learn. But you know, simplicity is the key, and it works for everybody. And that's what's so awesome. And you know, so I've come to learn about like what candida is and the role it plays in the body, and why, you know, those diets wouldn't have created health for me, and why they did feel so bad when I did do them, you know. So yeah, it's been a great journey, and I feel blessed because I think, you know, sometimes, you know, I'm like, why couldn't I just be normal, you know, like, but I feel thankful for the opportunity to learn this, because as a mother, I want to be the best mother I can be. And this is big for me because as a kid, you know, my parents didn't know what to do for me, you know, and so that's why they took me to doctors, and they trusted the doctors to help me, you know. And so I feel lucky to have this opportunity, I suppose, you know. And I really appreciate, Tony, you helping me and sharing your time with me in the beginning. And that's what I hope to do for others. You know, my primary role is being a mother, and that's what's most important to me in my life. But I feel the desire to give and to help others, because I suffered so much for so long, and I don't want people to suffer that way. And I had no idea what to do and how to do it. You know, I was trying everything I thought I could, you know, and I had no idea that like it would could be so simple. And secondly, that, you know, changing your diet not only transforms your body, but it transforms your mind, and it transforms your life, you know. So it's been awesome, you know. Yeah, so what else do you want to know? What else can I share with you?
Well, did I mean, you got to a point when we met, you were still eating, you were eating fruit already, but also fries and you know, sometimes cooked
Yeah,
and
yeah.
hummus. And how hard did you find it to get over that hump, that leaving, you know, get to that fruit?
So I'm kind of somebody where I just once I decide something, I just decide it and I'm done with it. And I'm pretty disciplined. So when I started with you, I think in October or November of 2020, right? Um and then I stopped eating the complex carbs first. Like the, you know, the sweet potatoes and the potatoes. But then I guess I was still dabbling, because occasionally we would have sweet potatoes, and occasionally I would have like siete chips, and I would make like a fattening vegan dip with like vegan sour cream and vegan mayonnaise. Fats are like, you know, really my comfort thing, which is what got me into this in the first place. But my last steamed vegetable meal was June of last year, and that was the last time like I had salt as well. So I just basically I started to like make them less and less, and then I wouldn't buy chips. And then occasionally, like when I'd really want it and I'd give in to that craving, then I'd buy one bag or two bags. I'd make the chips and dip, and then I would stop again. And then eventually I just decided I'm done. I'm gonna stop. I'm ready. So I just stopped and I was ready. And then I was all I was all fruits and then just tender greens. And I went a really long while without eating overt fats as well. And that was definitely when I went fruit, tender greens, and no overt fats was when I healed the fastest. And also drinking a lot of fluids, you know, whether that be smoothies or you know, juices too, but with juices like treating it as a meal, you know, not drinking like all throughout the day. even in between your fruit meals type of thing. When I was drinking a lot of water, that's when I was really like coming along and seeing the inflammation really go away, because the more I drank water and diluted the acids and carried the acids out of the body and was hydrating, the better everything was getting. And so I mean, I just kind of decided and then kept going.
Yeah, I hear about a
But
lot of people who
that's just
say
my
that,
personality.
yeah, when you're on all fruit, you don't need the water. And I'm like, well, maybe when you have all the toxins out.
Yeah.
But when I made the mistake being on a lot of juices and all fruit, I wasn't thirsty, so I didn't drink. And then I realized, I looked at my fingertips and I was like, oh my gosh, they look like they've been underwater for hours. And it's like I'm dehydrated and
hmm
less bowel movements and getting a headache and getting cramps in my legs. And it was like, yeah, you're definitely dehydrated. You need the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel my absolute best, even though it's a lot of water, it's just because of the acidic state that my body is in. I feel my absolute best if I drink like a gallon of water a day, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
And that's like if I have like 2 liters in the morning, and then after breakfast or after lunch, I'll have another liter, in between, like properly spaced to when I'm eating. And then after dinner, if I have like just a greens meal with no fats or no proteins like raw nuts or seeds, then after dinner, an hour or a few hours later, I'll drink another liter, like a little bit before I exercise and then some after I exercise. And that's my liter. But that's when I feel like my best, but I don't do that every single day. A lot of times it's half a gallon to a gallon a day, but I normally drink like 64 ounces of smoothie a day. So that has water in it too. And then I'm eating like juicy fruits. So yeah, I mean, the more you pee, the better you do. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. Like the more you're peeing constantly and the more hydrated because water just carries out the pollution and the waste, and fruit is what like hydrates us interstitially, but the water, like you said, like you'll get constipated. Our body is so dehydrated from years of not from eating cooked foods that like when we eat this fruit, it's just sucking it up, like immediately. But so that's why you can still get like kind of constipated if you're not drinking enough, because your body's like just grabbing a hold of it, and it's not enough, unless we're eating a lot of juicy fruits a day.
Yeah. What
So
would you say that for your emotionally, how did it make you feel once you were on all fruit? Was there a big difference?
to like what I was eating before.
Yeah, with being
Oh, you mean like
sad.
transitioning?
Yeah, sad, angry. That when did that started to change?
um I would say, well, I'd say it took a little bit, because first you had to go through like the processing of your emotions, where like you dealt with your stuff and you like came to fruition with how you felt. So that is like the first period where for me, where I was like recognizing my feelings, not suppressing them with food. And then you just realize that like the feelings come and go, and it's they're just feelings. And a lot of times it's just like momentary, and then you decide how you handle that. And then after that you feel a lot better. So it's very quick. The body does its thing very quickly. And I think even if like I eat too much like nuts and seeds right now, it only takes a few days to like feel 100% awesome again. I mean, it rebounds pretty quickly. So it wasn't that long at all. It was very quick. But I think that for me and for a lot of people, the salt was like the last thing I wanted to give up. And it's definitely a drug. And definitely like when I stopped having it. Yeah, my last thing that I gave up that had salt on it was those raw nori sheets, you know, the little packets. I would buy those raw nori packets, and they had like sea salt on them or something. And when, you know, 3 o'clock would hit, like that time that your adrenals are supposed to kick in, I'm tired and I've been with the kids all day, you know, my mind would be like, oh, you have nori snacks in the pantry, you know, and so I would want those. But once you just stop, then it's just, you know, to me, it's like I make stuff. First of all, I stop buying it so that it's not around. And second of all, then I just make it, it's not an option. That's not what I'm doing anymore. So just move on. And so then I became really into tomatoes, and I still really like tomatoes. So when I want salt, you know, I'll eat tomatoes. And that's really satisfying to me. So I really like cherry tomatoes. And you know, uh, today I probably had just 1 pound of cherry tomatoes, but the summer, you know, the summertime's coming, like around June, the end of June is when the farmers around here will be, you know, getting like all the cherry tomatoes. And I have a garden too. So there, you know, in the summer, I'll eat 3 pounds of tomatoes a day easily, you know, and that's satisfying to me. So that's my lunch, you know, and it gives me what I want as far as like the savory taste, you know. And I eat salads most every evening. And if I don't eat, if I'm gonna have 3 fruit meals a day, I'll blend like tender greens, like I like iceberg, like put a half a head of iceberg in each pitcher of smoothie, or even a little bit of romaine or something, you know, just the tender greens into some smoothie, and that's satisfying to me as well, you know. It's a little bit salty.
So you do get a little fat in your diet by eating the nuts and the seeds.
Yeah, so I do eat nuts and seeds now, and I probably eat them more than I should now, because it makes me feel more tired, and I don't like that, but I have been enjoying these salads. So yes, I do eat like raw nuts and seeds. I blend them into a dressing for salads, and I'll have them only at nighttime. But you know, the drawback of eating the nuts and seeds is it does create acidity in the body, so it's adding to, you know, the problem. And and secondly, you know, fat prohibits the excretion of acids, so there's another negative. And then third, what I don't like about eating it is that I can't drink water. I can, but I choose not to drink water for at least 5 hours after eating raw nuts and seeds, because our strongest gastric juices pour at the fourth hour for digestion of protein. So if we drink before that, we're washing the proteins through the stomach, which is where, you know, proteins digest in the stomach, fruit digests in the small intestine. So when we drink a drink, we're washing that stuff through, and it hasn't been digested yet. So then we're getting like, you know, putrefaction from undigested proteins. So, and I like to drink water, you know, all the time. So I don't like that, but it's just kind of become a habit that I need to nip in the butt. It started during the cold weather and it hasn't stopped. So, but I've definitely set myself back a little bit, and you know, I'll get there. I've already been like spacing it out more and more. And what I've done is I was getting in the habit of like having these fatty salads all the time, and but now I'm starting to just eat, you know, fruits on salads, and do like, you know, fruit on a lettuce leaf, you know, with like some date sauce drizzled on it, which is just dates and water blended. So just different ways of still having the greens, and or just sitting with like a head of greens and some tomatoes and bell peppers, you know, is very satisfying to me as well. But yeah, I have been having some, and but for probably 8 months I didn't have them often at all. Maybe 3 or 4 times within 8 months I had an avocado, and I would have like half an avocado, and that's when I think I was doing my very best. However, I will say that the greens have definitely been beneficial to me. Like my inflammation is still going down all the time. So, you know, I'm just like, I'm on this journey of like exploration, and always observing what's happening and like cause and effect with my choices. So, it's good. I'm doing well.
Yeah, when I hear about nuts and seeds, before I met Dr. Morse, I was big on nuts and seeds. I mean, you can make so many delicious raw recipes with that. And I made my own crackers in the dehydrator and put nut butter on it. And I could not figure out why I was in so much pain. And that is where Dr. Morse said, first thing that you have to leave out is the nuts and the seeds, fats and proteins. And every time I have my fallbacks are like, what is it? Avocados, the guacamole. And I mean, I love avocados. But every time I eat it, I'm in severe pain a few hours later, and it takes me a few days to get rid of it again. So I have not touched nuts and seeds in 3 years now.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and I know when I eat those kind of things, the psoriasis and the arthritis kicks right back in. So, we all have a long way to go in the detoxing and figuring out exactly what works for us. And sometimes, I can slap myself. It's like, why did you even eat that? And it's like,
it's totally a discipline thing.
Yeah, but I felt like I had to, but once you start, even something like Dr. Morse once said, if you want to eat a grain, then eat millet, but no more than once a week. Well, of course, I found this millet, pasta. And I can make that very, very delicious, but it is cooked. But then I feel bloated, I feel tired and dehydrated. And it's like, but I always want to eat more. And I always in pain afterwards. And I'm always more hungry. Like right now I'm on 100% fruit and really nothing else. I'm not hungry. I have no cravings. I always have salt cravings when I'm on 100% fruit, zero. I don't want anything salty because I was eating like dulse, put it in hot water and you have your salty tea. But eating just fruit, and for me it's apples and sometimes a banana and watermelon. I love watermelon, especially if I juice it. And it's berries, whatever berries are available, then go for the berries. But I do, and I feel the inflammation going down. The other thing that I experience on more fat and proteins is that I feel more down. It's like I have less energy. I can't get things done. And on 100% fruit, it's like, I feel lighter, mentally, physically lighter. And of course, I always lose weight and I have weight to lose. So no worries for me being underweight. I don't think I will ever get to that point after a struggle with weight my whole life, off and on and off and on and on and on and on. And but on fruit, it just flies off. And on an avocado or the nuts and the seeds, oh my gosh, I can gain like 10 pounds a week. So that just tells you your body is not where you would like it to be. But to me, it doesn't really matter on it, how fast it goes, because this is your life, this is your lifestyle, and you can never go back. You cannot go back to the foods that you were eating and that messed everything up so badly. So it's I love to hear how you do it. And I was surprised actually that you were eating the seeds and the nuts, which is more fats in it, because I don't think I'm ready for that. And the funny thing is, before I knew all this, I bought my nuts and seeds at nuts.com. They have these organic delicious nuts. And I didn't buy them by the pound. I bought them like by 3 to 5 pound bags. And only recently I started to throw them out because they're no good anymore. But I was staring at them for at least 3 years, not eating them.
Yeah. The one thing I was going to say about the fats from the nuts and seeds and stuff is that fat can act similar to like an ibuprofen, to where it actually makes you feel like you just took some ibuprofen or whatnot. It can take pain away temporarily for us. That's why a lot of us do find comfort in fatty foods.
Yeah, so I'm not in pain anymore. But I started eating them at the holiday because I wanted to like make something more indulgent, to take to a party.
Mm-hmm.
And then like we just enjoyed it so much, like to have like salad with this creamy dressing on it, that I just kept doing it because we were still doing great, um and so, and even like in the morning when I have like all my fruits and everything, I still don't feel pain, but for me, it feels like more of a break because I get to sit and have this like big salad. And so because I'm such a busy mom and I'm such like, I just go and go and go for so many hours a day, it just feels like a break and I just enjoy it. But definitely like the nuts and seeds give us that pleasure reward center. And it takes away pain because fats and nuts and seeds, they're extremely hard for the body to digest, and it takes us 12 hours to digest them. And when we eat fats or raw nuts and seeds, if we were emotionally not feeling good, it will take away that feeling because the body can't be upset and deal with a large, deal with a large digestive burden like that or digestive job like that at the same time. So, that's why it kind of numbs the feelings or the pain, and yeah, like it does get rid of pain because it makes your brain happy, to eat the fats.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's just become a habit for me. And, I have like lessened it and spaced it out, but I'll get back to like where I'm not having them every so often. But I have been doing really good. And another thing that's helped me do much better is exercising. And, it started out for me where I could just lift my legs up in bed and do exercises that way. And where I started stretching like all the time, I was just stretching. And at first I was crying when I was doing it because I was in so much pain when I first came off the medicine. And, I was transitioning to this diet. And, but now, I run on the treadmill almost every day and I lift weights, which I absolutely love. And, I'll do like 30 minutes or an hour of like intense weightlifting. And, uh, and all of that, and just being more mobile and pushing myself physically, like with my flexibility and my range of motion, in my body, and getting my cardio going, getting my heart pumping. That has really definitely made a big difference for me. Like that is noticeable, and it was definitely that made the difference. So. I mean, I think we're just like, we're learning stuff all the time.
Absolutely. And you have had an amazing journey, and my heart just goes out to you for everything that you've been through, even at a young age, and how far you come. I think it's just amazing. And one of my favorite things to eat too would be a salad with sunflower seeds all over it. That was always my favorite. So as we're even sitting here talking about it, I'm almost salivating, wanting that salad with sunflower seeds.
The thing is though, is like, it's so funny that we do this because it's all like gratification of the moment. But for me, it's like we create these habits, and like people are very habitual people. So it's just like I'm in this habit now. So like I've been recognizing it, and I did a video about like how the nuts and seeds, eating them so often was making me feel awful. And So now I've like come to the realization, and I'm like spacing it out and like getting back to like my better reality because I'm aware of what I'm doing, but it's just like, we just don't go back to the habit, because you're better, one good choice leads to another, one bad choice leads to another. It's easier to make good choices than it is to make bad choices. I made one bad choice at the holiday and I'm still here and it's almost summer. You know what I mean? So like, and so it's easier, and I think I've done extremely well with everything else. I mean, my diet is perfect. Even when I'm eating these nuts, I'm properly combining them, and like my meals are spaced to digestion times every day. Like I have a good routine, but it's just that, it's easier to make good choices than it is to make bad choices. And like momentary feelings are very fleeting. So just like stay on track, just stay focused, stay on track, don't do it. And if you do it, don't buy a lot, like buy one serving of them or something, because
Don't
it's
go to
like when we
Costco.
have, yeah, like when we have more around, we like do it more. And I am good, like I'll measure them out. And that's another thing I wanted to mention is I think it has to do a lot with amounts, like, and it takes more discipline, right? So like, if you're not ready for that, like when I started doing this, I went in and then I just started to like be like having fun with it, like I was having snacks of them while I was making the dressing, you know what I mean? And so then I had to learn a different thing. So I had to be like, okay, well, when you're making dressing, you can eat tomatoes if you're really hungry at dinner time, or if you just want to, you want to eat, because a lot of times we're eating for the sake of eating. And like also being busy, like I know for me, I will get really tired, especially now that I eat the nuts and seeds. I'll get really tired like towards the end of my day with my kids, because we're up early in the morning, do a lot of activities. We go outside, yesterday it was beautiful here. We were outside 4 hours. We walked 3 miles, you know what I mean? And then like we played too. So like by the end of the day, I get tired with the nuts and seeds. Now, when I eat just fruits and greens, I did not get tired ever. I stayed up until 12 at night or 1 in the morning, or I could go to bed at 10 if I wanted to, and I'd fall asleep easily. So yeah, but definitely just keep making good choices. Don't do what I'm saying, because it's been my like poor choice to step backwards. But it's been a great experience because I've got to like observe myself. And you were saying about like the allergies and the asthma, and when I was eating, I had really chronic allergies, of course, when, a few years ago, and they were year round. And I took like eye drops and nose spray, and my eyes were itchy. I had hives, I had all the things, and of like acidity that's, chronic. And I had asthma, I had an inhaler, and last year when I did all fruits, barely any overt fats, I did not have any allergies whatsoever. I never sneezed. Where like pollen was covering my car, and we live in the countryside, so we're all surrounded by plants and it's beautiful, but it's super polleny. There's plants everywhere, and I didn't sneeze once. And when I've been eating raw nuts and seeds, I've sneezed a few times. And even when I haven't been drinking a lot of water, I felt like a little breathy sometimes. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you better know. You're messing up. Okay, yeah, it's gonna come to an end soon. Because like it's just silly, that we do these things. But at least I've had the experience, so I can share it with somebody else. I guess.
Yeah, we have many experiences like that. That's how we all learn.
Yes.
Somebody can tell you what's going to happen, but unless you find out yourself, it doesn't. That's the only impact that you need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. And people come from all walks of life. Like you're coming from being chronically sick your whole entire life, basically, up until how long has it been, would you say? Maybe a year or two?
Yeah. It's only been in the beginning of 2021, I was in bad shape and I was hoping to get better, but like when I would walk, I would cry. When I couldn't go up onto my toes. I couldn't do a jumping jack. I limped around and I was hurting. Yeah. So, but now, like I said, like I run, I can exercise, I can do push-ups, I can jump really high. It's pretty awesome. And I'm thankful, I mean, it just makes a lot of sense, that like, even though I didn't choose to eat the way I did as a kid, my lifestyle as an adult was my own choice, and it wasn't a good lifestyle, when I was like an older teenager. I moved out when I was really young. I moved out when I was 15, but I was just looking for like a safe space and for comfort, and that comfort of like food and a sedentary lifestyle is not rewarding, for your health. So,
You
now
made
I'm undoing what I did.
you made a comment before about that you couldn't be normal, or that you weren't like a normal kid. But what I was thinking when you said that was that you couldn't be normal because you have a much higher calling. So you had to go on this journey to be where you are now, to go through those experiences, so that way you can bring a whole nother outlook on the world for a lot of people.
Oh, that's very nice.
Mhm.
I hope to give back, and that's why I created Hygienic Human Diet Group, because I felt like I always was seeing people in all the groups that like uh wanted to get well and had questions about diet. So when I thought I was doing the diet really well and all I was reading about was the diet and how to do it right, I just thought, well, I'll create a group so I can share what I've done, because I got results really quickly. Like I went from not being able to go up on my toes or walk that well at all to being able to jog in like a few months.
Wow.
So like it was very fast. So then I was like, well, I'm going to start to share what I do, what I'm eating every day and what I'm doing in my life to help other people. So hopefully, like if they're going through something that I've gone through or something else that's related, they could see, they could have an example, like to see what I was doing, and hopefully it might work for them too, so my dad always used to tell me I'm too deep, but that's just who I am. I care a lot about everybody. And, that's been something I've had to explore too, is, to learn to care about myself. Because my whole life I've cared about everybody else more than me. So
Yep. I think a lot of us are in that situation, and it's just stepping back and taking care of ourselves. But that's so wonderful that you did find that journey. What was the Facebook group that you created?
it's called Hygienic Human Diet Group.
And there's another group that I see you very often.
Yeah, so I admin Terrain Model Refuge Germ Theory with Lauren Whiteman and Nat Ferris, and I also admin the Fruitarian group with Joe Tomaselli, and I moderate uh, low fat raw vegan fruitarian with Diane Lagan.
That one I'm not in. I knew about the other ones.
And then also Lauren Whiteman and I just created a business called The Raw Key, and we're working on our website. It's therawkey.com. And we've actually just launched our first challenge starting in June to help people like eat this way and to give them like meal plans and recipes, and, just the support and a challenge to do it for a month, so we just launched that, and I'm excited and looking forward to that, because I know for me, like I've done Orville's challenge before. I don't know if you know Orville,
Yes.
Orville Douglas, but I've done his challenge, and that was awesome, to like do his challenge. And so, I decided that, I wanted to do a challenge and I wanted Lauren to do it with me. And, when I told her about it, she was very excited. And of course, we were excited to do it together, to help more people, so hopefully, a lot of people feel a lot better doing this and can, do it for the challenge and stick with it. It's the things that we do constantly that make a difference, not the things that we do, you know, sometimes, so it's really like, for me, it's like creating a habit and teaching people how to live a healthier lifestyle all the time and just be about it. And because then it becomes a habit, like at first you do something new and it's hard or it's challenging, but then you keep doing it and then it's a habit. And then you do it and it's second nature to you, like I know I would never go back to eating normal, my husband, like I still cook, like, sad meals for him, like standard meals for him. And it's non-appealing to me. There isn't really, the other foods are not appealing to me, so, and it's just because the food that I'm eating is, that we're eating, you guys too, it's superior, it's better. So it doesn't seem superior until you eat it and enjoy it and appreciate it for what it is. But the way it makes you feel, and even the way it tastes, it's better,
I think
So
it's like a equivalent, like how people will talk about that runner's high. It's like that fruit high. And
yeah.
once you get it, it's like you can't go back. And I can barely even be in the house when anyone's cooking in our home. And fortunately, we rarely cook in our home. So it's so funny when you
Yeah.
come in our home, people say, it smells new. And I'm like, yeah, we don't cook in here. It still smells like new wood. I'm like, I know. But the other part was, you said you were a natural hygiene doctor. Is that correct?
No, not yet. Not yet. I'm
Or yes, what you're
studying, but
studying. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
so I started looking up like if there was natural hygiene programs that I could become a part of to like learn or become certified with. And I found the University of Natural Health, and their website is www.universityofnaturalhealth dot or yeah universityofnaturalhealth.org. And so I like was looking on their options, and I called and I I actually had the pleasure of speaking to Dr. Paul Fanny. And that was really cool for me because he was friends with Dr. Herbert Shelton and TC Fry and David Klein, all the people of the books I read all the time. He was actually friends with them, and he kind of materialized their dream of like creating a school and a curriculum. So that's what he did. And so I signed up for their biggest program. And it normally takes people, he said, like 4 to 6 years, but I'm hoping I get it done in a shorter time than that. And I did, I signed up with his sister school too. They do a fruitarian certification, that's like specializes in, the frugivore diet, what we eat. So I did sign up for like shorter certifications, with that too, that if people want to get interested, they can contact the school and like let them know that I sent you, and they might give you a discount. You can talk to Paul Fanny, or just speak to the director of admissions. If he's not there, he is the director of admissions, but if he's not there, he might have somebody else working with him now. Um, but he was a really great guy, and it was nice to talk to him. And I got to hear about him healing himself and his fasting experience, and just how passionate he was. And he gave me a special name because he says he's never had a student like me in all his years. And I really kind of drove him crazy a little bit because I wanted to make sure I was choosing the right program, and there was a lot of options, and so I ended up going with like what my heart really wanted, because he's like, do you want to be certified quickly, or do you want like the most knowledge? And I was like, I want the most knowledge. So he's like, well, then stick with what you think you want then, because that's what's going to give it to you. So I was like, okay. So I signed up for like, I think it's 3 PhDs, an ND, a hydrophysician degree, and a nutritionist, a lot of different things, but basically I'm just reading all the books and studying all the material, and that's what I want to do. So I love information, and I love to learn, and especially about this. I used to be a hairdresser, and I loved being a hairdresser, and I was very good at it because I loved it so much. And I really just loved people. And I grew up as an artist. I was an artist, just, I know Toni was an artist too. And it, so hair really did it for me because I could take care of people and do like art on them, like, and I got to be really good at it. And I ended up, I was scouted to be like a teacher for L'Oreal Professional. And I traveled around the United States teaching with L'Oreal Professional. And I learned how to like create courses and how to speak to large groups of people, and I just really loved meeting people and like being a part of their life and having them be a part of mine and sharing information and making people feel good and all that. But really, like, for me, this takes it to a whole new level because this is what it's about. I had experiences when I was I was doing hair and I would shave people's heads because they were getting chemo and radiation. And I had clients die, and I couldn't save them. I couldn't tell them what to do to save them, And so for me, I'm more passionate about this now. This is a different level, and I still, I feel like for me, hair, my hair is like down to, my legs almost now. And, just the same things aren't important to me anymore. And I've learned to appreciate myself kind of as I am, instead of, wanting to like change myself or look a certain way. Just the more meaningful things are more important to me now. And I think that was partially becoming a mom, but more so the diet really like anchored me in because when I became a mom, I like didn't have time to go get my hair done all the time. And I stopped being a hairdresser soon after having my kids. I was, working after having my kids, and then I stopped because I needed to be a mom, and so yeah, I really love all this, and I'm excited to, just keep learning and hopefully just, helping people along the way, and also to be able to, I guess, have my kids see me as this example, and, be able to give them a good, healthy start in their life too, so, and it's, my husband at first, he was not supportive of this because this seemed very, you know, extreme to him, and, and especially after everything, like we have been told my whole life that I'd need to be on chemo the rest of my life, that I was just a victim of misfortune, and that this is, my body attacks itself and all of this, So, and he's been with me since we were 15 years old. So, and he's seen me almost die a few times, so he's scared. He doesn't want anything to happen to me. But now that I've been eating fruit and he's watched me like transform as a person, and now, he eats healthy, with me, part of the time, way more than before. And it's really undeniable, this stuff. And so, yeah, I like it. It makes a lot of sense, and it's positive, and it makes you feel vibrant, and I love it. Yeah.
See, a higher calling or a higher purpose. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
I
your
suppose.
story.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
I really just hope I can just, if nothing at all, just be there for my family and be like what they need. You know what I mean? But if I get to help more people beyond, then great, like wonderful. I'm thrilled, and I know I will, and I hope I will. But I just really want to be a great mother, and and I want to be able to be there for my kids when they're older, because like I had some neighbors, recently, and they, she had her daughter had MS, she had lupus, and they ate, animal foods all the time. And if they weren't eating animal foods, it was fast food or bread or French fries or whatever. It was, it was never anything good. But I just watched them like really not be able to enjoy their life. And I really didn't want that for myself. Like I really wanted more than that. And it's not easy. It's not easy to make a change. It's hard. And like I said, in that transition period, you're going to feel worse before you feel better, because your body, once you stop putting in the bad stuff, your body's going to want to rest. And for me, that was not that much of an option, because I have two little kids, and then I have my chores to do too. And then, I've taken on the responsibility of helping other people too. So I'm doing the best I can. But when you first start, you might feel like this isn't the right thing to do. And you might want to go back to the foods that made you feel more comfortable, but it is the right thing to do. And you kind of have to like walk through the storm to get to the rainbow, and once you get there, it's just, you feel happier about life in a different way, and you experience life in a completely different reality, that really is hard to explain. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about, but for people that have never experienced it, you're just like happier about the little things, but you're very calm all the time. You aren't like happy in like an excited way. You're just very like stable. You're very stable all the time. And it's a good stable though, it's the stable you always want in life, so it's nice.
Yeah, it's like you have more balance. And I think
Yes.
your story is so important for people to hear because of what you were able to come back from, with the chemo, with everything that you have been going through, all the medication and surgeries. And here you are, in how well you are doing. And I always said, I've been sick for 8 years, and you wonder why did this happen to me? But in the last few years, it became very clear because it got me on this journey, and now I am able to help people. And I never thought I would ever be able to do this. And I remember our conversations about your, as a hairdresser, and you wondering what to do. And now I mean, your journey. So it's like you had to go through that to learn all this and to get on this path. And I think it's absolutely amazing. Now, I hate to cut this short, but we are over an hour, and I always like to keep it to an hour. And I know we can probably go on for many more hours.
Mhm.
So at some point, Alexandra, I would love to invite you again and hear more about the new adventures that you are on and how they are going, because I'm definitely also interested in the hygienic way of life. And I've been reading a lot about it. And for me, being a fruitarian, it is very important. It is the key to a healthy life. And so I'm absolutely thrilled that you accepted my invitation. And yeah, that I learned more from you now, how everything has been going. And so I want to thank you for being here. And as always, thanks Sarah for being here.
Yes, thank you so much, Toni, for putting this together. And Alexandra, your story is amazing. And I look forward to speaking with you again too. And definitely like what Toni said about the hygiene, natural hygiene. We get so many questions about that, don't we, Toni? Like, what kind of soap, what kind of shampoo, what kind of laundry detergent? And we're like, hot water. I think everybody's getting tired of hearing us.
It's always, life is much simpler than people are even aware of. We have been so overwhelmed with all the products that were good for us and that we had to use, only to come back as like, I don't need any of that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I also want to say thank you so much in the chat too. We had some amazing people in there, and a lot of people are giving praise to Alexandra and thanking you for sharing your story, and they're very excited about that too.
Oh, that's very nice. It's my pleasure. I hope it inspires you. to do well for yourself and just keep going and don't be hard on yourself. Just keep going and, you know, keep making choices that you know are good. And even if it's hard, you know, when we grow, we grow in this way, you know, and so just keep going and everything gets easier, it gets a lot easier, you know. That's my advice. And thank you very much for listening. And thank you, ladies, for having me very much. Toni, thank you for asking me to come on and again for your time, because you were my first, you know, help in all of this, and you gave me a lot of your time, and that means a lot to me. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It was definitely my pleasure. And I love to learn from people, and you are very inspiring. So yeah, I will share this with a lot more people. So thanks everyone for being here. We are gonna end this. Big hugs to everyone, and we have on the Q&A, the health Q&A on Thursday, only 2 days from now at noon Eastern time. So I hope to see everybody there, and till the next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.